We are live. Welcome back to the City Boys podcast, everybody. This is our first live of the MLS season. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. My name is Jacob, and every episode I am joined by two of my best friends, Ethan and Grayson. Ethan, how are we feeling, my man?
Another day in paradise, gentlemen. We are officially recapping the MLS match day one. I think that we have been preparing for this moment all season, and I'm
Yes.
very much looking forward to it right now. Grayson, how are you doing tonight, brother?
Mm, I'm feeling good. It's a little hot in here, I can't lie. It was nice out today. I'm used to it being freezing, but I did spend most of the day inside editing this City Boys video. It is what it is. You got to make sacrifices. Uh, but I am feeling good. I'm excited for this specifically. City Boys extra time. Come on. That sounds nice. I like that. I like that. And yeah, if you guys have been keeping up with our city spotlights, you might be a little informed. We haven't gotten all the way through them yet. We're still working on them. Stay
We are.
tuned because we're gonna keep powering through. But we did, we got a nice little chunk in, so I'm feeling informed about those teams specifically.
At least one third we are really informed on, and
Yes.
then the most knowledgeable about St. Louis. But this is our first episode of full blown MLS coverage. We are St. Louis City fans originally, but have started to love following the MLS over the last year, and we wanted to bring you guys more coverage of it. So, with that being said, Grayson, what was happening in the Western Conference this weekend?
Yeah, let's get into it. The Western Conference is always extremely competitive. Of course, we're talking the MLS Cup champions, of course, came from the West in LA Galaxy. There was a lot of contenders over there, a lot of teams that improved in this off season, and the games were pretty fun this week. I had a good time watching them, catching up with a bunch of them, and we're gonna start off with the first match day one game. We got LAFC versus Minnesota United, and both teams are pretty good. LAFC, of course, has Denny Bowanga and some more star
Ooh.
power in Olivier Giroud, Hugo Lloris. They've got a couple legends in there, and they just made some new signings as well that are looking pretty nice. But this was LA versus United. Minnesota would really take over the first half with a handful of chances. Yaboa even hit the post, but LA's star power would start to creep and get them back into the match. David Martinez is the one to talk about, the young star who has come into the league. He's relatively new, but has a lot of hype around him. A lot of clubs around the world are touting him to be a very big player. Like clubs like Ajax are looking at this kid. And LAFC landed him. And in this first game, he came out flying. He can carry the ball really well. Super exciting. But him and Denny Bouanga, the individual brilliance just chopping up the defense, started to shift the game. And in fact, LAFC would finally get a winner. Good run from Bouanga, who lays it off to Orvan, lays it off to the new signing, Jeremy Aboasi, who unleashes a rocket into the goal for a good 3 points for match day one from LAFC.
Grayson, it occurred to me while you were talking that there's now almost a third of the Western Conference teams are in California.
Yeah.
They are just straight up taking all of the MLS teams and all in my opinion they all look good except for one this weekend.
Yeah. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Interesting stat here, though. This makes it 8 straight wins in the season opener for LAFC. That's pretty insane. They like to come out hot, and they're a good team. I have no doubt that they will last this season. I think they might have the chance to be a contender. But moving on, let's get into the next one. And this one is a fun one for all my St. Louis City fans who are watching right now because it's Austin FC versus Kansas City. Let's chat about it. Not much to talk about, honestly. Not much to talk about. But Austin would put KC in their place. Lone goal, courtesy of Osman Bukhari, off of a corner kick, just a little stab in, slips it past the keeper. KC did have a couple big chances, but they've lost their finishers. They sold them all. So they're still looking for some players to step up. Great match from Owen Wolf, who played next to Brandon Vasquez. Brandon Vasquez had kind of a
Interesting.
quiet game for his, return to the MLS, but I have no doubt he will be uh, on the score sheet pretty soon. He's a scary player. Honestly, this might have been my match of the week because this was a statement win for San Jose over Real Salt Lake.
No kidding.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Immediately saying to the league that, hey, we're not that team that you guys pushed around last year. All right. RSL was unlucky not to bury some early chances. A masked up Diego Luna out here looking like Batman. Uh, Also rockets off the post. But yeah, San
The
Jose
drip
was
couldn't save him.
San Jose was crazy. Everything seemed to be coming off. And that was despite what the stats say, because RSL actually had majority of possession and XG 1.75 compared to San Jose's XG of 1.9.
Wow.
Uh, and they also outshot them, putting 7 of their 22 shots on target. Just none of them were super quality. A lot of them were from distance, not nearly enough power to test the keeper. Uh, Reminder, they do have Daniel back in goal, who spent last year on injury. You would know if you watched the St. Louis City spotlights. Thank you to whoever was that San Jose fan that educated
Yeah.
us on Daniel, because he had a great game and he definitely looked good in the back there. And then the great storyline, of course, you got Chicho Arango playing against his former side, and he would score, but it would get ruled out. I think it was for an offsides or a foul.
Interesting.
Remember?
See, did y'all see? That was a crazy game for so many reasons. The score line, Bruce Arena, just having his name sung in the stadium is like a wild concept. In 2025, we are still singing Bruce Arena's name. But also, who was the Grayson? Can you tell me the name of the defender that scored for San Jose this week? He was in the team of the match week. Rodriguez, I believe his name
Yes,
is.
yes, it was Rodriguez. Yeah.
Did y'all see the clip of his child running onto the field?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy scores a goal. He celebrates down in his end with his teammates, and as he's running back on defense, he picks up a child and carries it off the
Just
field.
a child. I don't know if it was his kid or what happened, but MLS is back.
That was just such an MLS moment.
It's hilarious. It was hilarious. Let's go ahead and get into the next match. Let me see. Do I have a chat pulled up here? I was gonna see if we had any comments yet. Let me see.
I see one comment, and it might be later on in your breakdown, but Quentin Helm says SDFC with a fire emoji.
Okay, Quinn. Yeah, we are gonna get into that in a little bit. But we're gonna move on into the next matchup. We got a Texas Derby. We got Houston playing Dallas, and Houston would actually come out and open the scoring with a combo of headers. It's pretty nice. First header was from I can't remember the name. Ezekiel. Mm, can't remember his name. But it would be Bossy that would get the final touch on the goal, get it across the line, and from there it would pretty much go downhill for the San Jose for the Houston defense because it was a terrible giveaway in the back. Seems to be a theme for this week, by the way.
Yeah.
Terrible
That's
giveaway in
facts.
the back. Straight to Pitar Musa. Croatian buries it with ease, bottom right corner. It's nothing. That's nothing.
He is one of the last guys in the league you want to give the ball to at the top of the box.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need that.
You just served up a goal on a platter, and like everybody had their hands in their heads afterwards. But it's like, we make this man earn his dollar amount. Don't just give him money that way.
He likely has a chip on his shoulder after last season too. So you gotta know that a moment like that is just gonna kickstart his confidence even more.
Yeah.
And this is a side that has Lucci Acosta now. Like,
Yeah.
keep forgetting that. But moving on, another controversial goal would decide the match, making it 2-1. And Pitar Musa is once again involved. He makes some contact with Nico Ladero, new signing for Houston. How crazy is that? And it was just outside of Dallas's box. Houston was on the attack. Ladero spins. Musa puts one hand on his shoulder, and Ladero goes down. He wants to call. He doesn't get it. Pitar Musa looks downfield, sends one pass downfield to Anderson Julio, who takes one touch rounding the keeper, slides it into an empty net. Beautiful, beautiful goal. Yeah, he like chipped it around the keeper. It was really nice. Houston honestly has every right to be mad about this match. Not for that foul, though, because they played pretty well. They created a lot of chances. Jack McGlynn, another new signing from them, played very well. He had a shot, rocket off the post in the early first half. So we'll see. I think Houston's going to be good. I think they're looking a little bit better than average this season. We'll see. We'll see. They're pretty solid. I'm going to get a couple wins this year. Let's see. Moving on, we got Vancouver and Portland. One name from this match you need to know, Jaden Nelson, 22-year-old Canadian. Hat trick of assist and then adds his own goal in there because what the hell, just
Okay.
Then this is his debut. He came up in Toronto before moving to Norway and then Germany. Pair him with Brian White and Ryan Gauld, and they have a scary offense. Scary. They were scary last year. Vancouver's a dangerous team.
Okay, Vancouver.
I think
Matchup ends 4-1, but blown consolation goal for Anthony there. Vancouver had a fifth goal ruled out.
Yeah.
For an off-the-ball foul that was so soft. So soft. Should have been 5-1.
This match in particular was probably my pick for match of the weekend. Portland is a little hard done by getting an early red card in that match, but that aside, the attacking display that kid put on in the MLS put everybody on notice, especially me. And City plays Vancouver twice this year, so our defense is going to have our hands full with him and that attacking trio, as well as the rest of the league. Like, starting your career out in the MLS with 3 assists and then bagging a goal on top of it. That's my game of the week, and that's probably my pick for player of the week as well.
Okay.
I like that shout.
That is a good shout.
All right. Let's get into the next one real quick. Val says Jack McGlynn.
That's Mr.
that?
Views.
That's Mr. Views? Well, hello. What's up, Mr. Views? Jack McGlynn from Philly to Houston still boggles my mind. Highway robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm honestly like, it's good business for the MLS to keep that good of a player close to home. He did have a couple offers from Europe, I believe, but honestly, I really think he'd last maybe 1-2 more seasons in the MLS. His market value is going to skyrocket, and he's going to get sold. I think MLS just wanted to sit on it, let the profit raise up before they get rid of him.
It's just crazy. The transfer from Philly to Houston, I feel like it's not a lateral step in my opinion.
Well, Houston is a team on the up and up, in my opinion. and Philly is way better. Like I really rate Philly this season. Um, yeah,
We're gonna
big
talk a lot about Philly on this stream.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say if he does end up staying in the MLS, he's definitely a cornerstone piece that a franchise would want to build around. He's got that talent as a midfielder, so not bad business at all by Houston. And if I remember correctly, I think Philly got a pretty good haul for him in that trade. They definitely got enough money to do stuff we will talk about later on in this stream.
fair enough. Fair enough. We'll get back into the West. We've got STL versus Colorado. Now, guys, we've talked about this game a lot. You don't really gotta, we don't really gotta address it on here because we go really in depth in a St. Louis City Boys episode we just posted 20 minutes ago. Check it out, give it a watch. It's a fun one. Very happy to be back. Gets kind of heated. It was a good time. But yeah, I'll keep it short. Game was pretty entertaining for a 0-0 draw. I think both teams showed a lot of sparks of confidence and attacking ability, but neither team would be able to break the deadlock. Although, objectively, St. Louis had a little bit of an edge, starting to get a little bit of possession and got a lot of chances, but none of them really looked like a dagger, except for one that would be ruled out for offsides. But the stats, man, STL 17 shots to Colorado's 2. That's crazy. That's crazy. But it's all about the ones that cross the line, and
None.
none of them would. None of them would. So let's go ahead and get back to Quentin Helm because it's time to talk about the San Diego versus LA Galaxy match. What a game. I think,
Eater of a match.
yeah, everybody was really surprised by this matchup. Probably the one that probably got the most views this week, I feel. It was a good one. But
Grayson, before you get into the game, I want to quickly say that it was really cool what the MLS did with Sunday Night Soccer, making a marquee matchup a highlight of the week, adding additional coverage into that match, putting your best commentators on it. It all added up. The gravity of the situation was not lost on the fans who were out there in LA. It was just a fantastic environment. Before that was all pre-match in San Diego's inaugural game. So Grayson, please tell us about this delightful game that we got to see.
yeah. So the first half was pretty tense. I think everyone was really surprised with how good San Diego's team looked on the field. They looked really organized. They handled themselves really well against a team that everyone kind of expected to blow them out. I mean, all the experts in the league were saying San Diego's going to sit bottom of the table. That's exactly what they did to us a couple years back, and it's just more fuel to the fire. And I think San Diego could be pretty decent this year. And first half would come and go 0-0, but San Diego would get their goal in the second half off of another terrible giveaway.
Back
Keeper
pass.
puts the pressure on Garces by pinging a ball at him in the box. Like, bro is in the box. You don't need to hit it that hard, like at his chest. Takes a bad touch. Lozano picks it up, lays it off to the number 10, Anders Dreyer, the DP that joined from Anderlecht in Belgium, who's honestly a sneaky signing. Like, I
Very.
feel like I haven't heard anyone talk about this guy. So uh, he buries it. Great finish. And San Diego made a good impression, holding on to that lead, 1-0 lead throughout the entire match until the end of the game. And then in the 93rd minute, San Diego counters 2 back-to-back big chances for Angel. Uh, Long field give and go with Dreyer again. The number 10 with an absolutely delightful bar down, top left corner, smashing finish.
Emphatic.
Yeah, just stunting on the champs. Just doing it to him. What the hell,
A
man?
dagger.
The pass
Crazy.
from Dreyer to Angel was world class, and then the pass from Angel back to Dreyer matched world class, and then the finish from Dreyer was world class. It was world class soccer for like 15 seconds straight. It was really fun to watch.
To see a buildup start with one player and end with the same player, I feel like that's not something we've seen since like Berbatov at Man United. Like that the likes of that kind of player has not existed in the MLS, in my opinion. So I am on Dryer watch. I have been informed after match day 1 to keep my eyes on Anders Dryer. He is a quality player, and St. Louis is going to have their hands full next week.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Anders Dreyer definitely has a shout to be player of the week, I think, in my opinion. He's up there for one of the players. And get this insane stat from Tom Bogart to wrap it up. LA did not lose at home in all of 2024. The last time they lost at home was October of 2023, and San Diego just gave it to them on the first match day.
Wow.
That's wild. That's
Scary
really wild.
times. Scary times.
I mean, that's kind of like if Sporting Kansas City went undefeated at home and then St. Louis City in their opening match knocked that record off. That's very impressive from San Diego. They are clearly not playing games.
Yeah. So
I would do
we'll
have
see.
a question for you guys. Does this answer more questions about the transition period that LA is in right now, or does it say more about just how good San Diego's gonna be this season?
I think both things can be true in this instance, Jacob, because you're 100% right that LA Galaxy are in a transitional period. They mentioned this a lot on the broadcast that 5 of the starters from that team are gone, which is a completely different team. I think 2 of their focal points, being Ricky Puig and Joseph Paintsel, also being injured, impacts them strongly. That's a big loss to your side. On the flip side, though, San Diego looked legit. Their attack, it was what impressed me most, and I think they look lightning quick on the counter.
Yeah, definitely pretty potent on the counter. We talked about it. We gave our predictions for the next matchup because we do have San Diego versus STL next. Relatively unknown opponent with the opponent we know the most. So it's going to be a fun one. Um, it'll be an interesting one. But that wraps up the Western Conference for me. Do we want to take a peek at the table real quick?
Yeah, do you want me to just read it off? I do have it on screen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So starting from the top down, a couple teams tied for first place, that being San Jose and Vancouver. Then you've got San Diego, FC Dallas, LAFC, Austin FC, all earning 3 points as well this weekend. Then you've got Seattle, St. Louis, Colorado, all earning a draw this weekend. St. Louis and Colorado was that draw. You've got Houston, Minnesota, KC, LA, Portland, and RSL sitting basically tied for bottom of the table after 1 week of games.
Yeah, these early games are very important. I heard it. Someone said it on a podcast or something I was listening to. 3 points are the same in the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, they all matter the same amount. So get them where you can, and I think starting off hot is exactly where every club wants to be. Every club needs to be if they want to be challenging this year. But I will say, first game, we have a lot more to play. So don't take too much to heart. But that is all I got for the Western Conference. Hit a little bounce pass to Ethan over here.
This fucking guy.
Oh. What a week in the Western Conference, but I'm excited because arguably I think I have one of the results of the week. I think I might have a game of the week contender. I have a storyline of the week contender, even though it is hard to beat San Diego winning their inaugural match versus their new rival. That's hard to top. I'll give you that. But over in the East, there was a plenty of activity. I'm going to kick it off with a very exciting match. The new league record signing, Emmanuel Latte Lit, announced his arrival to the league very emphatically with a 3-2 Montreal victory over Montreal. Atlanta picked up the W. Almiron picked up an assist in his return to the league. Atlanta looked just on fire. It is kind of hard to beat the atmosphere of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, the train whistle when they score.
I think they also had 60,000 in the stadium this weekend.
I saw a stat that said they had the third highest attendance in world football.
Damn.
In the MLS.
I believe that.
Pretty astounding stuff. To be fair, they have fantastic storylines this season. Almiron has returned, and like I said, he bagged an assist in his return to the league. Latte Late, Grayson, I don't know, man. You kind of took the under on his goal contributions in our City Boys spotlight. I don't know if we could go back and change that prediction, but if I were you, I would be I would be very nervous about that. He looks so good. I wasn't sure. I thought there was going to be a lot of hype around him. No, he is worth every penny at the moment for Atlanta United. I'm going to move on into a slightly less exciting game, but still very important. Cincinnati versus New York. Cincinnati would pick up a 1-0 victory, and Kelvin Denke would pick up his debut goal for Cincinnati in his first game. That's another strong start for another big signing. So these marquee signings are off to a good start. I was surprised at who assisted Denke, though. Cincinnati picked up Evander in the offseason, and DeAndre Yedlin is picking up the assist in match day 1, gentlemen.
He never left.
MLS veteran, U.S. men's national team right back. The fall off in his career has been wild, and he's still bagging assists.
I mean, that's pretty wholesome. Like, it's a good kind of whole circle moment for him. I think that he could be the sage veteran on an MLS team.
So maybe wild.
Dax McCarty level of MLS veteran one day.
Put some respect on Dak's name.
No disrespect at all. But speaking of Dax McCarty and a former team that he played for, he might have played for both these teams, actually. The Columbus Crew played the Chicago Fire this week, and Columbus picked up a 4-2 victory. I know for a fact he played for the Fire. I'm not 100% sure on the Crew.
He did.
Diego Rossi would pick up a brace for the Columbus Crew, ultimately to lift them to victory. And Brian Gutierrez picks up a brace for the Chicago Fire. This is a player that we mentioned in our City Boys Spotlight as someone to keep an eye on this season. I think he's already proving himself very early on. Yeah. Definitely keep your eye on Gutierrez.
I think Jonathan Bamba got both assists in that match too, right?
Did he?
Did.
That's a fantastic signing for the Chicago Fire. I think that he will perform for them. This is a pretty disappointing start if you're Greg Berhalter, but frankly, if you're Wilfred Nancy, the coach of Columbus, it's to be expected. I think that you were going to Chicago expecting to pick up the 3 points here.
I think Jonathan Bamba is starting his career the way a lot of Fire fans expected Shaqiri to play for them. And this is like a really good breath of fresh air of like, okay, we spent a lot of money on this guy and we're actually getting our return on investment in the first game. Granted, he didn't win them the game, but he was integral in both of those goals being scored.
Well, I think also Columbus wanted to come into this match and make a statement. I think a lot of the talk around Columbus this season has been expecting them to fall off because of losing Cucho Hernandez. When I think about Columbus looking different, it's pretty much only Cucho. I know they lost a few other pieces and brought in some other players. I'm not as well versed on Columbus as I should be, but I don't think them losing Cucho Hernandez will be as big a deal as people think it is.
That's surprising. That's really surprising.
It's a loss, of course, right? He was a Golden Boot contender, MLS MVP contender, but they're in match day one, they're off on the right foot. We can at least agree on that. Moving a little north, DC versus Toronto.
My
A
go.
2-2 draw. So honestly, fairly uneventful. Well, I say fairly uneventful. Not if you've watched the City Boys Spotlight. Coming up, we have DC United coming out next. So Christian Benteke doing what Christian Benteke does. He got on the score sheet for DC United. And from the Toronto Spotlight, Osorio would bag his goal in his 250th career start. And Fernandeschi Fernando
Fernandeschi.
Bernadeschi. Bernadeschi.
Predation.
Bernadeschi would bag a goal from the spot, getting his season started off on the right foot. I call that the City Boys Spotlight medley of scorers this week.
And yeah, Osorio was playing striker too. Like, what a weird spot for him. And yeah, it was a poacher's goal. So I mean, he's playing how he should. It's a weird one.
Fair play to him. I got any warrior like career. But I'm gonna save, in my opinion, one of the match of the week for last and move into a slightly closer to home story for the City Boys here. Let's talk about Orlando versus Philadelphia, because Philadelphia would pick up a 4-2 victory in a very, very exciting match to begin the Bradley Carnell era in Philadelphia. And if I'm being honest, I think that this is an omen for what is to come in Philadelphia. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of just high octane, high energy soccer. I think that's kind of the system that Bradley Carnell has to offer. So, hey, get used to some results like that, dupe.
We saw a lot of 4-2s in our first season with Carnell as well. So yeah, if they can stay on the front end of the goals, then they'll be all right. They'll be all right. A lot
have
of goals.
I have to agree with Senior Views in the chat. He said Philly scored the foremost Bradley Carnell goals of all time. And I think I saw 2 defensive giveaways that led to a Philadelphia goal. And if that doesn't just scream Carnell 2023 in St. Louis to you, then I don't know how else to explain a Bradley Carnell team than that.
Just capitalizing on the opponent, you know? So Ty Berrybo would net a brace for Philadelphia, and Marco Pasalic would do the same for Orlando. I highly recommend looking at Pasalic's goals, both very good goals. I was especially impressed at one of his first ones. He brought it down facing away from the goal, or he flicked a shot behind him. He's facing away from the goal, hits a shot at the goal, bounces off the post back to him, and he volleys it in.
Yeah. That one was, they hit the post right before that too. Someone else hit the post.
Yeah, it bounced off the post. He's facing away from the goal. Yeah, absolutely nutty sequence. A very MLS kind of goal, but still high quality at the same time.
Somehow.
Gazdag and Michael Ure would double Philly's tally. So very good to see Gazdag on the score sheet for Philadelphia. Their new man, Indiana Vasilev, was actually not on the squad for Philadelphia this week, which I was a little bit surprised about, but it seems like there might be like some transfer stuff still going on with that.
He also recently just got transferred there, so it didn't surprise me so much that he didn't make the team sheet. I mean, he knows how to play for Carnell, but like the dude is probably jet lagged a little bit.
You just want to play some FIFA, man. Let him chill out for a little bit.
Just hang out with the boys and get a bite with Tim Parker.
Yeah.
I was also slightly surprised that Kevon Sullivan was not in the squad for MLS opening match day, just because I think he's just a player that they've put a lot into and they want to be showcasing. And I think there were a lot of eyes on the league for match day 1 this season. So I was slightly surprised.
Crazy take. And this just came to my mind. Is Bradley Carnell who you really want as your head coach to really propel Kevon Sullivan forward before he gets transferred when he turns 18?
Well, let's see. If you kind of like if we want to do the parallels between Philly and STL in our first season, I think Kavan can kind of sort of play that AZ Jackson sort of
That's
role.
terrible for his career.
Not AZ's career path, but playing in that, spark plug kind of number 10. He also played a little bit on the wing. He's going to carry the ball well. That's kind of what AZ was good at in his first season was carrying the ball.
Look, my thing on Bradley Cardinell and young players is that I don't think that is his priority in the squad. And right now, I think that while Kavan Sullivan is a high value item for Philadelphia, I still don't think that Bradley will be putting him into the starting 11 really anytime soon, unless Philadelphia hop off to a crazy start,
Or unless there's pressure from the front office to do so.
which there may be. There may be. Something to note about this game as well is that Orlando had a lot of quality set piece chances. I think that is something that is going to be noticeable for, or notable at the very least, for teams coming up against Orlando City this season. Ooh, before we move into our next game of the week, I see a couple people in the chat I want to say hi to. The crossover saying what's up. Good to see you. Sorry about the Red Bulls this weekend. That's a tough result since he's very good. And to Mando and Dan, the city refs, yeah, I'm definitely still recovering. People were asking me why I sound like that at work today. Just chanting my lungs out for 90 minutes in Energizing Park.
I've just recovered from frostbite. I've got feeling in my fingers again. So, we're chilling. We're chilling. No big deal.
But speaking of 0-0 draws in St. Louis, another 0-0 draw over in the West this week, or the East, excuse me, Nashville versus New England, a 0-0 draw. There was a disallowed goal from Sam Surridge from a very tight offsides, but Nashville, we predicted them as playoff teams, which at the time seems a little bombastic if I have to, as I reflect on that. But if I'm being honest, I think they look good and will probably overperform a lot of people's expectations. So they only had 3 shots on goal, 2 for New England. Probably not the game of the week by any means, but Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge up top will be a good strike force for Nashville this season. Mark my words.
At some point.
At some point, yeah, they're still probably shaking off the rust. Here we go with my pick for game of the week, and I don't think many people will like this because it does feature Inter Miami. But hear me out. Inter Miami versus New York City FC played to a 2-2 draw this weekend, and this game was a very, very exciting match. Javier Mascherano was making his managerial debut in the MLS, and it got off to a pretty early start. Messi would grab an assist on the first goal for Inter Miami less than 5 minutes into the game. Pretty exciting start. However, red card for Inter Miami in the 22nd minute. And honestly, I think after seeing that, I do not think there's too much Messi bias in the MLS right now.
I mean, 2 assists in game day one. He's clutch. He's just clutch. And yeah, a lot of people just hate on him just because he's Messi and he's gonna do what he does. And there's a lot of hype around it, no matter what. But he's gonna walk around your team, and he's gonna make shit happen.
I was gonna say, I think this says more about how quality Messi still is at his age in order to bring his team, who's down a man, down a goal, back in order to save points. They were at home this weekend. Yeah, I think they were in Miami as well.
I believe so.
So starting the season off undefeated after I thought it was a pretty tough red card to concede as well.
And that's what I mean. I feel like normally people can give Miami a little bit of stick because they get favorable refereeing, but that's not what I saw in that red card. I think that was honestly a little bit of poor refereeing, and that which led to a very cheeky free kick from New York City FC. That was very nice. And then Yeah. And then the crossover says in the chat, "Hey, New York City FC, but as a Portuguesian, gotta love the Sui at House Messi." Like
The Sui?
he hit it. He
Sweet.
sweet, sweet. He hit that, and it had to feel good for him. But of course, so Miami pull ahead, or excuse me, New York pull ahead. They are up 2-1 in. At this point, I didn't think Miami were coming back. I was like, all right, cool, finally. The Messi era is like backsliding into a conclusion. All right. They like will be kind of up and down this season. I think people will find out that Mascherano is slightly a fraud and they will move on. Yeah, burning hot take there, but we're gonna keep it pushing.
Mascherano is a fraud.
At least as a manager. So Miami eventually, though, would draw level in the 99th minute after 11 minutes of extra time are added from, like you said, Jacob, a second Lionel Messi assist. A very cheeky chip finish on this. What I took away from this game is that Inter Miami is actually not a team that is lacking in desire. I almost thought that for sure we would see Messi and company start to get complacent in their, I guess, now experience in the league. They've experienced the MLS and what it has to offer in its full spectrum. But no, they were on the gas for 109 minutes because it really took that to eke out a point there. I think that Inter Miami are not a team lacking in desire. They are going to be good this season, guys. I hate to say it. I wish that they were fraudulent. I think Inter Miami will be good this season.
Definitely a playoff team.
They're a great team with like some of the best players in the world, but they still got a lot to prove. Like in this league,
They do.
they played very well in regular season and then got knocked out by Atlanta in the playoffs. So they have a lot to show that they still got it, that they can still win games and make things happen when the pressure is on. Messi has shown time and time again he can make things happen. He can get game-winning assists, game-winning goals. But let's see it in the playoffs. Let's see it in the playoffs. Man can win the World Cup, but he can't win MLS Cup.
Which is a bigger
What
trophy?
what does that mean?
Which is a bigger trophy? Who can say for sure?
I think if we get another playoff matchup between this Miami team and this year's Atlanta United team, I think the result still goes the same way. I rate Atlanta over Miami at this point. We're one game in, and also with the City Boys spotlight, which we plugged 100 times this episode, I do rate Atlanta over Miami this year.
I agree. They made improvements. A record-breaking signing is a hard improvement to overlook as well. Granted, if Inter Miami has the GOAT, they're gonna. I could foresee that matchup in the playoffs. If I'm being honest,
they got that. Fa 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 pickled.
Oh my god!
I rate that dude. I love that guy. I think he's so good.
He had a pretty good game too.
He was like he did fine, but
I also want to point out a couple of chats. The crossover said that the ref said we not leave until Messi leaves with a point. 11 minutes of added time. That is low-key crazy. I gotta say that is a little. So maybe the favorable Miami refereeing comment goes out the window after that. But and I did see what Messi did to the ref and the coach after the game. He says, and what Messi did to the ref and the coach after the game. If Ronaldo was doing that, if I speak, I am in big trouble. Messi was giving it to the referee there. I cannot lie. He got a yellow card for it. Just completely badgering the ref after the game.
Yeah, I think he like grabbed the assistant ref by the neck. Actually.
Oh, that's crazy. I did not see that, but that is low-key wild if that is true. Probably not the example that he wants to set as a soccer dad as well. I know that there are probably some crazy parents at Inter Miami games.
Yeah.
So, hey, not a great look, I will admit. And getting a yellow card for it is also a little reckless, but
How
As a,
long is the leash for Leo Messi?
I don't know. If Ronaldo was doing that, he'd be playing for Kansas City. Uh, he'd be
Do
sent
they
off.
have his rights?
I think so.
They did. I don't think they've gotten rid of him. I think they still have him.
Crazy. It'll never happen.
Hilarious.
It'll never happen.
That does do it for all of the matches over in the Eastern Conference, though. Just to recap the table, very boring. Columbus sitting on top of the East at the moment. Boo, boring, lame. Who would have seen that coming? It is nice to see Philadelphia a little closer to the top. Atlanta sitting in third, Cincinnati in fourth. All of them on 3 points. Charlotte, DC, New York City, and Toronto, Miami, Nashville, and New England on 1 point, and the rest of the East on no points just yet. So once again, the West looking just a tad stronger than the Eastern Conference, just a little bit more competitive as we have come to know the MLS. But there is one important fixture that we have not addressed this week. What could it be, Mr. Jacob?
Well, that would be the lone interleague matchup between Seattle and Charlotte. I have a couple of comments about this game. First off, you look at the starting 11 for Charlotte. They do start Tim Ream, but at outside back, they have Tim Ream playing left back, which his age and his pace is a questionable decision. From my understanding, it was like kind of a 5 at the back, but not really because they started with 4 at the back. I really couldn't tell you the tactics that are happening for Charlotte on defense. I do know if I'm manager, Tim Ream is a center back, not my outside back. And that comes into play because he did get absolutely burned in order for Seattle to score a goal this weekend. This match ended in a 2-2 draw with Jordan Morris getting a brace for Seattle and Adilson Malanda scoring in the 35th minute and also a game-tying goal coming in the 96th minute to give a point to Charlotte to start the season. Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola, the big summer trades, made their debuts off the bench for Seattle.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
I
thought
would have thought they started.
Exactly. That's where my head was at as well. But both coming off the bench, there is quite a lot of firepower up top for Seattle this season. I think that makes them one of the more dangerous teams in the long run because they've got such quality depth, similar to St. Louis in that aspect. Looking at the sheet, really, Seattle dominated this game in possession. I thought they deserved to get the win, but that being said, Charlotte did not stop fighting and was able to earn a point on the road. The game-tying goal in the 96th minute did come from an own goal. There was, I forget the name of the player, but he diced up one of the Seattle defenders and then was able to whip in across, and then the other Seattle defender's name, who I forget, I know this is fantastic journalism, he is trying to clear the ball away behind his own post, but gets a wrong foot on it and smashes it into the back of the net for the game to end in a 2-2 draw, which puts both Seattle and Charlotte starting the season with 1 point.
You know, I would have expected a little more of a ceremonious opening game from Charlotte. You know, they added Wilfred Zaha over the summer. I think that's probably one of the biggest name signings in the MLS. I think that his star power overseas is pretty underrated here. And Patrick Agyemang had somewhat of a breakout January camp with the U.S. men's national team. So I was expecting at least one of them to make a splash. And then Wilfred Zaha, I don't see on their team sheet. And Patrick Agyemang subbed out at some point. So looks like they are knocking off the rust, trying to figure out some kind of identity, because I also cannot for the life of me understand why Tim Ream would be your starting left back.
And to be fair to Charlotte, getting out of Seattle with a point is no easy task. So I'm sure it feels more like a victory for Charlotte and a loss for Seattle than it actually feels like a draw, especially with the talent and the, air of not, I don't want to say greatness, but Seattle's a really good team. They're going to be challenging for the cup this year.
Yeah,
So that's
100%.
that's a good point pickup for them. It could come into play later on in the season.
So would you say that this is a point picked up for Charlotte and points dropped for Seattle?
Absolutely.
Mm,
And that's like
interesting.
disregarding the actual facts of it, of like Charlotte coming back in the 92nd minute. This is for sure Seattle dropped points to a lesser team.
That could hurt them going forward when great teams like LAFC are in form this year. It's going to be hard to stop these trains from rolling. When St. Louis City is just on a 5-game win streak and is unbeatable at home and away this season. It's interesting though. Jordan Morris getting a brace, good sign for Seattle. The Roldan brothers back starting, Albert Rusnak as well. They do have a lot of quality, Jacob. I just completely agree with you that they are contenders for the MLS Cup this season.
They also have some really nice kits, but Kit Clash is in a different segment of this channel, so we won't get into it too much. But
yeah,
early insight, I do like that Seattle kit a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the best ones for sure, for sure. Do we want to nominate our player of the week? What do you guys think? I think,
I would like to.
of course, you gotta shout Jaden Nelson, 1 goal, 3 assists for the Whitecaps debut. 22 years old, insane. Gonna be definitely keeping my eye on this kid this year. We'll see how many goal contributions he can cook up this year.
I will
But
second that nomination, Grayson.
yeah,
I am gonna go the easy route, and I'm
Ethan,
gonna take
your microphone.
Oh, hello. Can y'all hear me?
Barely.
you sound like far away.
Damn.
I don't wanna shit on any of your motion that was coming through, but
Well, no, I want to nominate. Still no.
there we
Oh.
go.
All right. I
There
think Anders Dreyer
Okay.
is going to be my pick for player of the week. I think another good nomination would be ELL, Emmanuel Latele. But I'm going to pick Anders Dreyer. To score both your team's inaugural goals has to just mean the world to your DP player. And under the radar, so many eyes have been on Chucky Irving Lozano to be the man at San Diego FC, and who ends up bagging a brace in their first game. I'm going to take San Diego's number 10, Anders Dreyer, for my nomination of Player of the Week this year, or this week.
It's gonna be a good one. We'll keep this going. See who ends up with the most man of the matches. Any goals of the week to nominate?
I watched the LAFC game live in preparation for the St. Louis game, and I thought that Abobasi rocket was top class. The Dreyer goal is up there as well, but I think first goal of the season, like for the MLS season, Abobasi on a new team, that's my nomination.
I got you. Atlanta United's third goal, Edwin Mascara, hit an absolute curler to the top right, reminiscent of Celio's goal from last season.
Yep.
I think that was a really, really nice goal. I'd also have to say, like, I really liked Guti's first goal, Brian Gutierrez.
Yeah.
It's just a little screamer, bottom right corner. It was just piss missile. Low driven. I like that.
That is a Grayson special too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loves the low driven. I don't know, guys. Maybe I sound like a broken record, but have you guys heard of this guy, Anders Dreyer? He scored a goal for San Diego FC over the weekend. Actually, two of them. Their first two goals, and their second one was a bar down finish that was just to conclude a beautiful counterattack play when low key the game is on the line. So for me, that's going to be my pick. I don't want to talk about their number 10 anymore because that's enough credit, but it was a fantastic goal.
We're not going to talk about him at all next week, so It's gonna be weird.
I hope.
Is he a Belgian international? Is that his
Denmark.
Denmark? He's Danish. Okay.
I'm trying to think of some other enjoyable storylines from this first match week because
Mhm.
it was such a wild one. Like RSO taking out or being taken out like that in the first game was
And they had a
absurd
good
to me.
game. They had a good game. Like if you watch them play, it just defensively a little shocking, but offensively they looked pretty solid. Just really unlucky. Diego Luna's going to be a menace again this year. Just could not get on the end of those goals. And yeah, like I said, they just kept taking pot shots from outside the box. They just need to penetrate the back line, get some close encounters.
That's the thing. I don't know where their attack is going to be coming from if it's not Diego Luna.
Cincinnati knocking off the MLS Cup runners up in match day one. I'm not even saying this because crossovers in here. I did expect more coming from New York Red Bulls, at least in the first match. So that result definitely surprised me.
We didn't even talk about Eric Choupo-Moting yet. Eric Choupo-Moting signed for New York Red Bulls, and I totally forgot about it.
He is a giant. I knew he was like tall, but then you see him on the field, and it is ridiculous how tall that man is.
He's also just like one of my favorite players because he's an absolute enigma. Bro went from Stoke City to Bayern Munich to PSG. It was just like, what? What is your career, dog?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome player. Awesome player. But yeah, I think he will be good in the MLS. Not the greatest start for the Red Bulls, but I do think that team is really nice. Forsberg is clean. I wonder how his family's doing. He doesn't know.
He wonders how his family's doing.
I don't think he does.
Such a wild shot to take at the end of this too.
You think he's watching?
Emil,
Emil, dog, what's going on?
call
Text
your
your wife
family.
back. Why don't
Toronto and DC drawing. I think that's a good. It's a decent result for both teams. A little, like I said, covering it a little bit boring, but I think both teams would be happy to get a point just because they underperformed last season, and I think they see themselves as playoff worthy teams. But
Mhm.
time will
Speak-
tell.
Speaking of
Important to get
DC,
that takeout marker.
Jose Kojima getting his first start of the season.
Yeah.
From what I hear, he's supposed to be pretty integral to their starting 11 this year. They apparently rate him very highly down in DC.
So did we.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. He had a pretty decent match.
I also want to point out that Maxi Morales is going to be one to watch this season from New York City FC. He is who assisted their go-ahead goal or their second goal, and he is just so good on the ball. A very high IQ player. Honestly, reminds me of Luciano Acosta. Just very shifty on the ball, short, and has fantastic vision with the ability to make those insane passes.
Yeah. He's a little menace. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's a good player. He's been around the league for a long time. I think he's 40 if he's getting there if he's not 40 already. Because I saw his name on the assist sheet and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, Maxi. He still got it. He still got it. Any final notes on this match day one in MLS, or are we cooking? Any questions, people in the chat? Any questions? I think we're looking pretty good. We're getting to the end of it.
I do want to note. I do want to note that I'm interested in how Evander will fare in Cincinnati this season because we haven't talked much. We haven't talked about Cincinnati yet on a spotlight. So I think that's an amazing pickup for them, and that if he can get anywhere close to his attacking contributions last season, then they are going to be in such great shape. Denki appears to be the signing that they expected as advertised, I think. So I'm really interested in Cincinnati this season as far as contending for the MLS title.
I think my final note before I rip an outro and send everybody on their merry way. I am really impressed and excited at just how competitive the league is league-wide. Like, granted, Portland got whooped 4-1, but they also had an early red card. But that is really the only game that I can point to where like was someone was getting outclassed competitively. But other than that, really close games around the league, really competitive games, and I think that sets the MLS apart from a lot of other soccer leagues around the world is that competitive balance. So yeah, really excited to cover this every single week with you guys and every single week with you guys. So if you are not, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. We just posted a St. Louis specific video. Make sure you give that a watch. If you get all your podcasts on Spotify, we are on Spotify as well. So make sure you follow, rate 5 stars, and comment. Our socials are at St. Louis City Boys all over the place. They are listed in the descriptions. They are coming across the screen right now. But our most important call to action is do not forget to tell your mother you love her. Peace.
Mom, if you're watching, I love you.
Same.
Love you, Mom.
Oh.